getting away from my environment changed my life. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, let me, let me with no budget put together a college fair inside the worst, most impoverished neighborhood. And people like, yo, you crazy. Nobody's gonna come to a college fair. Bro, I did this joint with no budget inside the Martin Luther King Rec Center on Ridge Avenue. The room flooded with people. People from 15 years old, 33 years old to 50-year-olders trying to gain access to fill out applications to find out like how they can further their education. Once that happened, I'm like, yo, it's on. Like I don't got no budget. I don't got no major sponsor. I'm doing this from my heart. I'm like, yo, it's on now. Like now, if I keep doing events and opportunities like that, like I know I can make a difference and I can make it. You know what I mean?
Yo, welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. So for all those crazy people out there who never heard of your boy, who ain't tapped in, they don't know what's going on. South Jersey is in the building. Give us your name and tell us what you do in a couple of seconds.
Yeah, it's your man Authentic, straight representing South Jersey, CMD, WB, hip hop artist, lyricist, a public relations program director, youth advocate, and a long list of other stuff. But I'm just in a spot with my man Kenny D in the place to be. You know what it is.
I like that. So let's go back to where it all started for you in South Jersey with your moms, your pops, the dog, the cat, your brother, sister, all of that. How did you fall in love with hip hop?
Oh man, it's crazy, yo. I had the blessing to have two parents that were hip hop heads. Being a kid that grew up in the '80s, I remember two of my first Christmas gifts was Run DMC, Raising Hell, L Cool J, Bigger and Deffer. Like growing up and just having parents like that listen to hip hop music and listen to that '70s soul music, and just being taught at an early age what the essence of hip hop was. It was to be able to tell our stories. It was news from the hood, and just being able to have the opportunity to tell your life through a pen and a pad and through music. And that's where my love grew, from the graffiti to the breakdancing to the MCing to the DJing, just all the core elements of like of hip hop being around in my life.
I like that. So who grabbed your attention first as an artist or a song rather? What song jumped out at you in the very beginning for you to really get on your hip hop tip?
So it went from being a fan to being an MC. Being a fan, like, growing up listening to Run DMC, listening to, KRS-One, listening to G Rap. But I think the thing that really changed my life to realize that I can grab the pen and pad and tell my story is probably like Rakim Don't Sweat the Technique. Like when I first heard that song and the rhythm and the vibe and the flow and the way they put the bars together, like I didn't start writing as much then, but then when that golden era hit, especially, like you're not a hip hop head if you weren't influenced by Nas Illmatic's album. And that was Nas was probably the artist that made me really say, like, Nas and Tupac were the artists that really made me say, all right, like I got a story to tell as well, too. Like, let me start telling my story.
I like that. I like that. I like that. So, in the midst of telling your story and stuff like that, you signed a deal early on in high school with No Limit Records. Shout out to Master P. How was that for
Uh-huh.
you? Was that surreal? How was that for you signing to No Limit?
Yeah, like what's crazy because, like back in that time, like we still had regional hip hop. Like, we still had borderlines between what East Coast hip hop was, down south, West Coast. And it was an honor because, No Limit and Master P was the first record label that I paid attention to that had a business model. Like hip hop really went in that direction, but like, knowing like my pops had moved out to New Orleans like when I was in high school, and just having that down south, that NO connection, like with Jersey. And we had a manager at the time, me and my cousin Cash, and one other artist, like, and they reached out, to a bunch of labels, and Master P was the main one that's like, yo, I like what they're talking about. I like their story. It's something I can relate to. And he was really about expanding and supporting and grabbing hip hop artists that talked about real life stuff. And like once that connection happened, I was over here like make them say, oh, you know what I mean, like right away, like all right, let's do something different, like to build the bridge, you know, like so it was an honor, like you know, the deal was short lived, like you know, like it didn't last as long as it did because there was some business things, you know, how the politics are in hip hop, but was able to go on tour, was able to drop an album, drop some singles, rock some shows, up and down the 95 line, and that kind of sort of really set things on fire that made me realize like, all right, we do it for the love of it, but now like I can really make a living off of this part as well. So
So let me ask you this, because Master P, he's a prominent figure in the industry, business mogul, all of that. You signed to him. What's up with Master P? Is he giving out 360 deals? I know he don't like them himself, but is he giving out 360 deals to artists back then, or is he actually treating you right? And then maybe behind the scene, the business just didn't work as it normally doesn't with artists and the record labels.
yeah, like it's you know what I mean. Great question too. By the way, the thing about Master P was he was about business, but he was about integrity and he was about the principles. And a lot of the reasons, you know, like why the deal fell apart is because we had a third member, me and my cousin Cash. Like we had a third member in the group, and he had got a new manager, and he tried to submit his solo project in the midst of us doing the album project. And Master P was very strict about like, listen, if we family don't go behind family's back. I love what y'all doing. I love what y'all talking about. But if you begin this process now inside the music industry, every opportunity that, you know, like every time the wind blows, like you're going to be seeking every opportunity that comes up. So he was very firm about being family oriented and taking care of people and making sure that artists were taken care of. Like, you know, like this wasn't the time, like, you know, you were signing $1 million deals, but you know what I mean? The manager's payments, if we had show stuff was taken care of. Like, so he looked out like and blessed us. Now it would have been nice to have that type of deal now where I'd have been telling you, yo, Kenny, I got a $500,000. What's up, bro? I'm investing in the radio show. But you know, like he definitely took care of us and had integrity early.
I like that. I like that. So let me ask you this about the industry. Why is it that is so many snakes in the music industry? Can't they just be cool and just want to, I don't know, help a brother out, get him a deal because they know Authentic loves music. You know, you got the stage present, all of that. How come you feel, in your opinion, how come there's so many snakes in the music industry?
Like to be honest, I think a lot of it is because societal wise, like we have a poverty mindset, right? Like a lot of us come from like, you know, especially like, you know, blacks and Hispanics, we come from nothing a lot of times. And then sometimes we get in positions, it's just like the same thing like with corporations, like in businesses. Like, you know, you go to the store, you buy a bag of oranges, it might only cost that company $2 to pick those oranges, but they selling them for $8.99. Everybody's trying to make a profit, like to be able to
Right.
survive or feel like if I don't come up, you feel what I'm saying? Like if I don't come up at this moment inside my life, I might not have another opportunity to be able to come up off of people. So a lot of people live off the backs of other people opposed to recognizing that we have some integrity and we build this thing together, then I can eat, you can eat, then your kids can eat, and my kids can eat. You know, people just had that like, all right, this is my door right here, you know, let me take advantage of this opportunity, like that whole dog eat dog and big fish eat little fish kind of mindset. Like, and I think a lot of it comes from poverty, like, and from just our environment, like, or what we see going around us. Like, it's sad, but with a lot of historical things, we're not going to get into a history class. But like, you know, when you think about like how society within America has treated us, from education to housing to all those different type of things, those things affect us directly and, you know what I mean, like indirectly, I think.
Well said, well said, well said. So later on, you you did do some touring and things of that nature. KRS-One, the Locks, Naughty by Nature. What's up? How was that for you? Was that surreal to know that you're actually touring with some of the greats?
Yeah, like to be honest, not so much surreal because you know, like when you're a true MC, right, bro? you know, and you're not trying to fit into the box of what everybody tells you that you're supposed to be or how you're supposed to rap, and you're rapping your story, and you know that your story is unique, and yeah, I'm like, you know, no pun intended, like, you know, your story is authentic, and you know, other people haven't lived the same life, and you know that you work at your craft. Like, you know, I didn't just write rhymes once in the blue. Like when I went through something, I put that down on pen and pad, whether it was street stuff or life stuff. And I just knew confidently, you know what I mean? Like that my story like was unique. I took out time for my craft and skill. And then growing up and being a fan and a student of hip hop, I knew what bars were. I knew what a delivery was. I knew what a stage performance and a show was. So I never felt like, oh snap, I'm here with, you know what I mean, opening up for the locks. I'm like, yeah, I'm here opening up for the locks because I know I got a story to tell. Like, in the same way Jada nice, I know I'm nice as well too, you know, not overconfident, but blessed to know that God gave me a gift like that separates me from everybody else. You know what I'm saying?
I like that. I like that. Well said. Yo, if you are just joining us, we are live on the Pimp Game Podcast. We are here with the one and only authentic. That's right. Community activist, artist, as well as Mr. PR, right here on the Pimp Game Podcast. So let me ask you this. You then did a deal with NBC. How was that for you? Was that surreal? Was that a little bit different doing something with a major major network in NBC?
Yeah, no, like that was a blessing, man, because that came at a time like when I was in college and just rocking college shows. Like I knew this cat from Harlem named Bubsy, like, and we like, you know, like stayed on the same floor like in college, like, and I was rocking, man. I'm telling you, like hitting everything moving, bro. If it was you know, whether it was NC State or whatever school, every single talent show, like, you know, when you 18 years old, I'm trying to tear up stages any and everywhere I can go. And he came to me, like he met this producer that knew this guy like that was trying to invest in music, into music artists, and the guy was like, "Yo, I got an idea. You know what I mean? Because on TV, I can have artists that can be doing, like, you know, the opening, like the opening songs for TV shows, and put together performances like when like, you know, a broadcast." I had one meeting with the dude, spit a couple bars, and he's like, "Yo, I'm investing money." So he took some of his own personal money first and then put together two singles for us, and then pitched it to NBC, and NBC funded a compilation album featuring all of the top North Carolina artists. Like we happened to be, even though I wasn't from North Carolina, I was in North Carolina at the time. Like we ended up getting the first two singles like off the project, spread it to FM stations from Richmond, VA, all the way down to Florence. You know what I mean, all the way down to Florence, South Carolina, and they distributed the like the compilation album in every Walmart up and down from Maryland all the way down to South Carolina. You know, put out thousands of copies. The deal was absolutely horrible. I'm telling you, Kenny, we definitely got beat for money and all of that. But the spotlight we had, y'all think we got like $1,000, $1,500 advance and a box of CDs. Like, yo, go make your money. But you know, own rights to our art name, all of that stuff. But me being a dude from the streets, I'm like, I ain't gonna do nothing if I go out and do shows. So we just took advantage of the opportunity, like to have a single on the radio, on FM stations, you know, from Maryland down to South Carolina, rocking all these shows. Like, and that's when on this college tour, going to every HBCU inside the CIAA. Like, and that's when things really took off. The guy ended up taking off with NBC's money and moving all the way to like the San Diego or something because of how much money he made off the compilation album. Because there was never really a compilation album that had the dopest artists from the whole state and then was spread throughout the region. So it was a like a gift and a curse, right? Like it was a gift, you know what I mean, for the publicity, but a curse money wise. I'm like, damn, man, we could have made way more money, Kenny. I'm telling you, bro. But it was still a blessing though, you know?
I like that. So in this one, in this story, I can't understand though. He is putting up the money for you guys. You would think that he's gonna want to get at least most of his money back, and maybe even though you guys get a little bit, you guys still get the exposure because you're on the road, you're doing shows here in New Jersey, Connecticut, New York, tri-state area, all of that. Would you agree with that? That at least from that standpoint, it kind of makes sense that he would get majority of the share since he's putting up the bread.
Yeah, like like investor wise, yeah. The only problem is he wasn't putting up the money on what's name for the shows. The shows was coming off of like off of the PR side of networking and just being blessed to be in the right place at the right time and people open up doors and opportunities. Like me building up my brand and rocking like like the low hanging fruit shows. Like all right, like doing an open mic like like on North Carolina State's campus or UNC Chapel Hill, and just every opportunity I could find, I go tear down that stage and happen to be a promoter there. Like that's how I met like the Lox's promoter and got the Lox to be able to come to St. Augustine's University to do homecoming. Like me making my money off of that, and like but it was a blessing because we had that CD in the store. Like that was kind of sort of the extra leverage. Like, yeah, I'm not just tearing down shows. I also got a product on the shelves as well, too. Like so, but I definitely agree with you. When somebody invests, they should be able to get the return. I think not enough artists think like what you said is like, yo, if I'm putting up all the money, like, yeah, you got the talent, but you wouldn't be at a certain place like if you didn't have somebody invest in you. It's different now because you got live streaming and you don't have to know anybody. But back in that day, like in I'm like, like the late 90s, early 2000s, what I mean? Like you really needed somebody to punch that ticket for you. Like, what I mean? Like when we got that blessing on, on that side of things.
Wow, wow, wow. So, Authentic, how do you think music has evolved now from, like you said, early 2000s to now with social media? I don't know, just with a click of a button, your music could be out to plenty of people. Shout out to DistroKid, iTunes, all of that. How do you feel, in your opinion, music has changed from the early 2000s to now,
That's
2024?
a super good question, and it's kind of side. I'm like, two different sides of the coin. Like it's a blessing for artists that you can be independent and that you can just, be in your mom's basement your whole life and upload a song, and if it, if it buzzes, it's on. But the backside of it is though, like there used to be a lot of accountability. Like if you made a song, like there was producers, there was a label, there were people that kind of held up guardrails to be like, yeah, this is all right, but like your deliverance needs to be stronger, your cadence needs to be stronger, or some checks and balances, right? Like there's no checks and balances now. So I feel like it evolved like in a business sense and marketing sense is that you don't need those things, but I feel like things kind of dip down like when it comes to quality because there's no checks and balances. Like there's no label that you have to go through that's been making music for 10 to 15 to 20 years. That's like, okay, you might think that's hot and your two cousins love it, but that's not good quality music. And I think that's why you feel what I'm saying? I think that's why we're oversaturated when you turn on YouTube and you like, dang, the last 8 artists I just heard sound exactly the same. Like there was an essence of being authentic, no pun intended, and sounding like yourself and talking about something and having a good cadence, having breath control, having delivery, having to be outside. Like we used to have to be outside. You couldn't sit inside your house and record everything. You used to have to go out and do shows. Most of these kids I ask now, I'm like, yo, how many shows you did? Like, oh, I don't do shows. I'm like, wait, you're an MC and you don't get on stage in front of people to rock to see to like have a litmus test of how hot you actually are. People can have their following from their high school or their college that's just cool with them in class and get them streams like, and there's no real checks and balances now the way that there used to be. But it's also a blessing though that artists can be independent and not have to get like their money ransacked by some of these record labels, like because they can be free like an independent. So it, what I mean, two different sides. It's pros and cons to it.
All right, all right. So let me ask you this. If you put on your Mr. Authentic, put on his Master P hat or whatever, Mr. No Limit, all of that, and you were looking at the record industry as a whole right now, how do we get, or what would your move be to get rid of the artists that just sound the same? Because I'm sick of it. I know a lot of other people out there are sick of it. How do we get rid of those type of artists? They call themselves artists, but they sound like the other 20. They sound like the
Yeah.
other 100 artists out there. In your opinion, Mr. Authentic, the record exec, what would you do to get rid of the artists that just sound the same all the time?
Like just help them be able to tap into the fact like, yo, your story is unique. Like right, like we may both be brothers, but your fingerprint is different than my fingerprint, right? Like we may be both black men inside this society. We face a lot of the same things, from racism to prejudice to all those different things, but your life and your walk was different, and like in ways like that. My walk in my life was different to really help artists pull out those stories and those emotions or those situations like that they've been through and help them feel confident to be able to tell them inside their music. Like I don't care if a kid works at McDonald's and he's talking about grinding and waking up and going to McDonald's. Like you don't gotta sound like the dope boys or try to rap like a dope boy. Make a unique story about how it is waking up and grinding at McDonald's. I'm telling you, there's 1,000 other McDonald's workers out there that would be like, yo, I can connect to that song. That song is different than somebody talking about, like, like I'm driving a Maybach and my diamonds is glistening. Other kids that work at McDonald's don't know that lifestyle at all. So rap your life.
Right.
Talk your thing like that. Separate you from everybody else. No pun intended again. Be authentic, bro. You know what I mean? Like Kenny D, don't do what other people do. Like you have a different platform than other people have. Like, and that's what makes you unique. That's the thing that's going to bring you views, is because you're not trying to do like Drink Champs. You don't got bottles in the background. You don't got a cigar like Smoke Champs. Like you not cracking jokes the whole time like Gillian Wallow. Like everybody be inside your own lane, and that's going to draw your traffic and draw your audience. You know what I'm saying?
Wow, well said, well said, well said. All right. Yo, if you are just tuning in, you are tuned in to the Pimp Game Podcast. We are here with the one and only Mr. Authentic. That's right. Former artist of No Limit Records, also PR, Mr. PR and community activist right here on the Pimp Game Podcast. So let me ask you this. In terms of the community activist, how did you get into being a community activist?
Man, crazy, because the first time that I really did something, it was me as a hip hop artist. I rocked a show in Philly, and somebody was there and was like, yo, I would love for you to come talk to the kids inside this teen homeless shelter. And I'm like, wait, a teen what? They're like, a teen homeless shelter. And I'm like, as somebody that grew up in the hood, and we didn't have sometimes, and we had to borrow sugar or milk from the neighbors. Like I never lived out on the streets, and it blew my mind that there was a teen homeless shelter. And then come to find out, it was one of the largest ones on the entire East Coast over in Philly. And I got invited there. I'm like, yeah, I'll talk to the kids, like I'll inspire them. And I walk in a building and I'm like, pardon my French, like, damn, like, yo, this is different. Like they don't got no aunt, no uncles, no grandma. Worst case scenario, if we got evicted when we was kids, we moving back in with grandma. Even if we huddling on the floor or the couch, and like food was low, like we still had some type of family or support system. So I go inside this building, bro, and I'm seeing these kids that don't have a single person inside their life that cares about like providing for them or taking care of them, bro. Like as much as I'm street and hard around the heart and all of that, man, like it broke my heart, bro, like to see. So when I'm leaving, I'm like, yo, it's not enough just to go inside this building one time and let you be and push forward and strive through. Like I'm like, I more like, and being somebody that didn't have like the mentorship, like when I was growing up and made a lot of wrong decisions, like pops not being around at certain times. I'm like, yo, how can I design programming or events to bring in some of my other artist friends, DJs and singers? So I just started putting together events to go inside the teen homeless shelter with some of my DJs. Like they set up turntables. Some of my homies that rap and sing, and have each of them bringing hygiene products, back to school supplies, gently used clothing, all of those things. And it kind of just spiraled from there. Went from doing that to putting together teen conferences where I had major speakers like I had Bernard Hopkins before, Dr. Bryce Boyce Watkins come before, and then I would just throw back to school events, community unity, stop the violence. It just kind of rolled in from there. It's me starting to do programming for like all inside the arts and stuff like that. And here I am, 12, 15 years later, creating Authentic Minds. Like now I develop programming like for youth, like at local nonprofits that focus on youth and design entire curriculums and all that kind of stuff, man. And it's been a blessing, yo.
Yo, this your boy Kenny D. Hey, I didn't mean to interrupt your show, but I just want to take a quick minute, just to let you guys know, if you want to see more dope interviews like this one, make sure you go on YouTube and check out Pimp Game Podcast. All right? And don't forget about our website, pimpgamepodcast.com, to see all your latest Pimp Game episodes. All right? We got you. Man, I'm done talking. Back to the show. So, Let me ask you this in respects to, because you mentioned family and things of that nature, in our community, the Black community or what have you, maybe the Mexicans, Mexican people, one of the things I love about them when, I don't know, one of them is struggling, they're not really struggling because it's like 5 to 10 of them in one house. Then one of them does better, they move, then the next person step up and things of that nature, and then they go get another house, stuff like that. Do you think us as Black people, do we need to follow that same model so we can have more success and actually teach us maybe unity about helping someone else instead of caring about ourselves? So what do you think about that? Should we live in a house together first before we move to get out on our own just to struggle?
Yeah, yeah, no, and you're right. Like, and it's crazy because I got that model inside my family. My cousin Cash, like me and my family were living in West Philly. My aunt owned a home inside South Jersey. Like she was moving to Florida, and at the time, my rent was sky high. I lived at the Deuce. A lot of people don't know, around 52nd and Market. It's probably one of the worst hoods up and down this East Coast, like without a shadow of a doubt. My daughters was getting older, and I'm like, yo, I need to get up out of here. Like I feel like it's time. My daughters is getting older in school. I don't want them to be in this environment. It's different with me. I'm walk the block. I ain't bothering nobody. Nobody bothering me. I got the love, but now I'm a father. I wanted to take them out of that area. So my aunt moved and left the house to my cousin. And we talking, and he like, yo, cuz I got this big crib. Like, why don't you move in this joint? I got this mortgage. You know what I'm saying? You need a spot. And we like, yo, bet. Like he's my kid's godfather, son godfather. And we the ones that had the record deal together as kids. And we're like, yo, we might as well let our paper combine. We can both stack our bread. That I'm like, me pouring in money to like the rent to help pay the mortgage can in turn help you own this house, which he does now. So we made this whole move to position each other into home ownership. And now he owns that crib. And like now we got equity within our family. A lot of people I think have pride with certain things because of imagery, right? A lot of us, because goes back to the poverty mindset. If I ain't have nothing, I could be living in the projects, but I gotta have a pair of Jordans and I gotta drive a Lex because everybody got know I'm all right. Like opposed to being like me, like bro, like when I got my bread, I copped a Kia. I'm like, yo, I'm gonna buy me a Kia, make sure this joint straight from the lot, straight from the dealership, paid it off, and I don't got no car note. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like I stopped caring about the imagery and doing things that added equity to my life so I can keep making steps forward opposed to caring about appearances to the public. And a lot of times we have that because we grew up with nothing. We care about making sure we do, you know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? Like and people don't know the investment game and the equity game. And I don't think it's just Mexicans, like because a lot of times it's what Mexicans because of their circumstances, but I feel like Asian people do it a lot of times. I feel like when the Dominicans come over with corner stores, like they'll all put in their money to own a corner store. Like there's a lot of nationalities that do that. We just don't do it enough. You don't got girlfriends going in for a hair salon because she want Tamika's hair salon, like on the joint, so people know she got a hair salon. It's not like me and my cousin's hair salon where we can shine and grow together and then eventually branch out. People just don't have that mindset because of poverty, I think, a lot of times.
Well said. So let me ask you this, because you mentioned the hood, you a hood dude and stuff like that. How come, in your opinion, how come when cats are successful, why are they shining the jewelry and all that stuff when really somebody in the hood may just want to rob them? And why is it that they still want to go back to the hood when there's nothing really there? Why is it that our people, especially, why are we so fascinated with the hood?
Man, like stripes on your uniform to show that you the biggest and you the baddest and that you still got it and can't nobody take nothing from me, man. Like one of the worst epidemics we got inside, especially South Jersey, from Camden to Willingboro to Philly, is artists going places, shining on people around poverty, not realizing the hunger and the traps, man. Like, there's so many young rappers that have been killed over these last couple years, man, for that mindset, or just caring about like, proving a point, like, yo, I'm still hard, I'm still good. Like I didn't come back South Jersey, within the Willingboro and Camden area until I came back, not caring about shining, but cared about like pouring back into my neighborhood, pouring back into my area, help my people and lift my people up. Like, don't get it twisted. I have a fresh hat on and sneaks or whatever, but I drive a, you know what I mean? Like I drive a Kia right now. I own my joint. I ain't got no car note, but I don't care about stunting down the block and making sure that people see like I'm doing it. Like my biggest flex is having a beautiful family and being able to help my homies kids like that you know what I mean, like that I came up with, and helping them be in a better position like them we was in. And that's how I stunt, like to be able to give back to my community. I think again, like, a lot of things, and it's sad, it comes from the whole slavery era and the Willie Lynch theory and the Jim Crow era. We still carry some of those same mindsets of I got to show other people that I'm at this place and I'm doing it like this, or like people still need to know I got it. And that's a what I mean? Like a lot of the traps that society sets for us, again, it's sad, but in theory, like that's the reality. People gotta let people know that they're doing better, like than everybody else around the hood. You know what I'm saying? Like, and we gotta get away from that. If you don't come back to the hood, like sometimes them chains and those necklaces, like, what I mean, don't have no value. Like imagine if you sold those joints and bought a couple of houses, like, and started creating real estate and affordable housing within your community. Like you'd be so much more gangster. Like I can walk in any hood in Camden and Philly and Willingboro, not because I'm gangster or because what I mean, the things I did in the past. It's because people know, like, yo, he's coming to bring equity and make a difference and make an impact inside our city and inside our environment to help our young people have better lives than we had when we were kids. You know what I mean? Like, and to me, that's what's gangster. You know what I mean? That's gangster.
Wow, well, I like that. That's gangster. I really like that. I really like that. So you have a PR firm called Authentic Minds. I like that. I'm really feeling that hard. It's a little catchy. I really like that. How did you come up with the name Authentic Minds?
Like to be honest, man, like having a rap name Authentic, and it was just one point I felt like God like just kept on dumping ideas inside my mind, right? Like when I look at stuff, I'm like, damn, why is what I mean, like these young boys, they on the corner and they don't got no place to go, and God be like, boop boop, drop idea inside my mind, or man, like like there's so many homeless people inside our community, like how can I impact them, or put together clothes, or like put together food drives. He dropped an idea inside my mind, and just as I grew, like as an adult, like one scripture that always stood out to me was by the renewing of your mind, right? Like changing your thought process and the way you think so you can create, what I mean, change inside your environment. And I didn't want to do it the same way that everybody else did. Like, turkey drives for Thanksgiving. Like we've been seeing that since Nino Brown and the New Jack City era. You know what I mean? Like how can we do something different and not be like what everybody else is doing? The first thing I did in the hood, like I moved to North Philly, and I'm a Jersey boy. I moved to, what I mean, to a foreign land like that I played back and forth when I was a kid. But I moved to North Philly, Kenny, and I lived in this section where the whole next block over from me, there was abandoned houses from the top to the block to the bottom of the block. I had never seen that like that before. Like we got abandoned houses in Camden, but I'm like, yo, this is crazy. Like we live in this area, and there was a high school, and he started shutting down all the high schools in the worst neighborhood to open up charter schools. And I'm like, what can we do? Like I had the blessing to go to college, right? I wasn't good in high school, just happened to know somebody like that working in missions, and going to college changed my life. It helped me with musically, helped me change my mindset. I still did street stuff, I thank God, like, what I mean, like that I'm here to be able to talk to you, but I'm like getting away from my environment changed my life. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, let me with no budget put together a college fair inside the worst, most impoverished neighborhood. And people like, yo, you crazy. Nobody's gonna come to a college fair. Bro, I did this joint with no budget inside the Martin Luther King Rec Center on Ridge Avenue. The room flooded with people. People from 15 years old, 33 years old to 50-year-olders trying to gain access to fill out applications to find out like how they can further their education. Once that happened, I'm like, yo, it's on. Like I don't got no budget. I don't got no major sponsor. I'm doing this from my heart. I'm like, yo, it's on now. Like now, if I keep doing events and opportunities like that, like I know I can make a difference and I can make it. You know what I mean? So that's where all minds came from, and I've been with it since then. Been blessed to be able to evolve and have those corporate partnerships and partnerships with major nonprofits, because I feel like I know how to connect with our people like inside, inside neighborhoods, most people don't feel comfortable walking in, and just being able to build that bridge, like to provide services and goods to the people that need it.
All right, I like that. I like that. So let me ask you this about you having your PR company and things like that. I've always wanted to know this. It's been bugging me. I've been scratching my head on this. With the PRs out there, the companies out there, such as Authentic Minds and things of that nature, do you guys just create stories out of nowhere, or is it always a thing like wherever there's smoke, there's fire? Like there has to be an actual story first, or do sometimes you guys just put a story together just to get some buzz?
It's really a two-part, right? Like, and I can't speak for all PR firms because my authentic, you know what I mean? Like my PR firm's authentic, you know what I'm saying? So I'm in my own lane. But there are a lot of people that stir the pot up on purpose to try to cause controversies and stuff like that. Like my thing has been to focus on shedding light on issues that don't get the attention like that they need. Like for example, right? Like we always hear about black on black crime, right? That's a thing we've been hearing our whole lives. But when you really look into data and statistics, there's really no such thing as black on black crime. Black people in the suburbs ain't killing black people, right? Like black people that live in decent environments aren't killing black people. It's really poverty on poverty crime where white people kill each other as well too inside those neighborhoods. So kind of sort of focusing on, you know what I mean, like those things, or people like, yo, these kids from this generation is crazy. Like some of them are, yeah, you know what I mean? But when you look at it, those are kids that are in poverty-stricken environments. Maybe dad's not in the home. Maybe there's drug addiction, alcoholism. Maybe the school system is performing at its lowest point. How can I, like, shine light on those stories? So instead of people that's on the 6 o'clock news saying black kids in an urban environment are wild, like, yeah, did you look at the statistics that you strip their school budget and they got the most inexperienced teachers, and that there's 40 kids to a classroom, and that their parents can't find a job, and that there's not transportation or housing or resources? Did you put all those asterisks next to that data that you're trying to talk about, like about people, right? Like, or like black fathers aren't present in their home. Yeah, but did you look up the data that black fathers more proportionately locked up than any other race inside our society? So finding those stories and those issues and shining a light on things to be able to add more context, you know what I mean, like to the reality of the situations like that we talk about. Like that's something like I take pride in, like in addressing, like to be able to pose those issues. You know what I mean? Like, not to be long-winded, but even stuff like, what I mean? Like I started throwing like book giveaways and book fairs in the hood because, you know what I mean? I was reading a Newport one time that kids that have books within their home perform at a higher rate inside school. Like when they start reading, you know what I mean, at an earlier age. I didn't have a library in my crib. You know what I mean? Like I got 3 kids, and all my kids perform at a high level because they have books inside their house. So just shining light on those things. You feel me?
Well, all right. Well said. Well said. So, in terms of the poverty level and things of that nature with these kids going to jail and committing black on black crime because they just don't have the resources, how much of that is to blame on the government for really kicking giving the women incentive to divorce us? You know what I mean? Like just to leave us alone in terms of the families, like they're kicking the fathers out. That way the kids are just they're strung out on an island where without the father, it's very tough for them to succeed. Now I'm not saying they can't, but it's very tough
Yeah,
for them to
yeah.
succeed. Everyone is not going to be the same. Out of 10 kids, 8 of them is not going to succeed. The other 2, they just got lucky because maybe they fell in love with LeBron or Steph Curry or something like that. They wanted to pursue a pro career, so it kept them busy. But how much of that is to blame on the government for giving women an incentive to divorce us?
Yeah, like I really think it's 50-50, right? Like, because we all got the power to make our own decisions, right? Like we can all like, pull ourselves out like with our mindset and our mentality or make things work. But it blew my mind when I knew in the early 2000s that they signed laws that, and like the housing authority, if somebody needed housing and it was a mom, that if she got caught, like I remember knowing dudes that was sneaking out the windows in the middle of the night to make sure that the landlord of that housing authority didn't knock on the door and find dad there, because if they found dad there, the mom would lose her housing. Like that's reality. Like those were real live laws. Or like, you know what I mean, he got to hide his stuff in the closet because they find out he lives there. Or low income, like low income, you know what I mean, low income apartments. You can't live in a low income apartment if you're a couple or if you're a married couple, because it's only for a single. This dad can't be around, and if we find out he's around, then you're gonna lose your house. And that is mind blowing to me. Like those are laws. Or the fact of if there's two struggling parents together, you get way more them like way less access to food stamps or like electricity stipend. If you're a single mom, then you can get more money. So you like you said, they put a lot of women in positions to make a decision. Like I love Tyrone and all, and he doing his little his little side job, but the government's giving me way more money to make sure that he's not around, and that's a reality. Like it's crazy, but what's the best way to destroy a race? What's the best way to destroy a generation of kids? Is to make sure that the family structure is not in place. Like you, like a mom struggling, like me growing up in a single parent household at times, I made way more decisions when mom was at work doing her thing. Now, my mom wasn't beat for me to be in the streets, but my mom having to work overtime and not being around, maybe she can't afford as much school clothes. That's really like what sent me down my path of being like, all right, I'm gonna grab this little pack and flip a little bit. So I make sure I got an extra hoodie and some jeans because mom can't afford it because it's just getting by to be able to provide rent. And dad can't be around because dad got to pay child support. And if dad don't got the money, then there's a warrant out for his arrest. Like, you know what I'm saying? And that was the cycle that a lot of us grew up in, and it's a reality. People don't like to face that reality, but it is the truth in a lot of ways. I'm just blessed to be able to make it out and to be able to have, other support systems like a grandmom and stuff like that. And, and God's hand being over my life, obviously for a purpose. But outside of that, bro, like it was difficult. You feel me? And that's the reality. That was a great question, man. Great question.
Okay. I like that. So I was checking out your bio, noticed that you were a professor and teaching the youth about entrepreneurship. I love that because that is so hard to do. There's not enough authentics out here teaching the youth about entrepreneurship. How did you come up with that strategy or idea to teach the kids about entrepreneurship?
Like to be honest, like God just really opened up doors. Me being in certain places and people hearing me speak to young people, like people open up doors. Like, man, it would be real dope. Like same way, like the first time, like I started speaking to the youth in the teen shelter. Somebody heard me talking, being passionate, not holding my tongue, trying to be cool in the environment because I'm a hip hop artist, and I want to be like, yeah, yo, I no, like just me pouring out, and somebody is like, yo, I got an opportunity. I got a group of students that I think that will really listen to you because your energy, because your experience, because your story and your passion. And it started off with me, like the first spot, like I was actually instructor at was University of Penn, which was mind blowing, because they're darn near an Ivy League school, but talking about working with nonprofits. And then it went to the Jefferson University, me teaching them like a program called the Impact of Volunteering, teaching young people the importance about getting out inside the community, even when you're in college, especially people that don't look like us. And then from there, like as I was building my brand, Authentic Minds, I met somebody that worked at a college, and it's crazy because her daughter was in my programs, and she's like, "Yo, I know the people that's in charge of like like the enrichment program in school. The way you speak to these kids, like just because these kids are 18, 19, 20, you can still impact them." And just kind of sort of like the snowball effect of doing one thing kind of led to the next thing as well. And I mean, like here I am, like years later, of being able to do that. It's definitely something I want to pursue more. Like now I got that resume. I'm like, yo, the way colleges play, you know what I'm saying? I love talking to the youth in the hood, but I might get my suit jacket on and had the button up, you know what I'm saying? And start being like, Kenny D, yes, we're here live and direct with your man Authentic. Like, you know what I'm saying?
So let me ask you this: is there a plan for Mr. Authentic himself to go around, maybe touring, to talk to youth all across the country about entrepreneurship?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think I think one of my overall goals eventually is to go from neighborhood to neighborhood, university to university, and not so much just myself, building a team like of authentic minds, like that are in different places, like to kind of sort of bring some of the programming like that I've had, you know what I mean, like that I've done in Philly and that I've done in Camden because I'm very blessed to build a module like that works. And like the same way like I tour musically is to turn back around and to perform musically, but to also speak at different schools as well too. I had the blessing to speak in Newark, to speak in Brooklyn, to be in the Bronx before, to do Raleigh, North Carolina, to do Atlantic City. So now that I have these kind of like these notches under my belt, like I definitely think as I get more established within the city, you know what I mean, like that I'm in now, because I also want to focus on like, you know, the hearts and minds like that I have is to eventually expand that out into other places and find other like-minded people that can kind of spearhead those things for me as well too. But definitely by the time I hit 50, bro, you know what I mean? Like you might see me at University of Chicago or University of San Diego talking about, yes, it's Professor Authentic here. You know what I mean? Speaking live and direct, you know, but you know what I mean? Like, but that would be a blessing to be able to go ye into the world, like, and to be able to preach that knowledge. Like, and not even just in America, like even abroad. Like I've known, you know, I got real good homies, you know, inside New York City that's from different countries. We talked about going to Palestine and going to these different countries, you know what I mean? Like in nations teaching as well too.
I like that. So today's quick topic of the show is Megan Stallion. She is getting sued by her ex camera guy for allegedly having sex in front of him with her and her girlfriend or what have you, and he's not feeling that. What is your thoughts on that? It was a little bit crazy to me, but what is Mr. Authentic's thought on that, with him suing her for having sex with another woman in front of him, and he's a guy?
First off, like, bro, like, if you were willing to be her cameraman, and this is me as a man, like, you're suing her for what? Like, you say thank you for the experience and opportunity, and you're better off selling bootleg copies on the side. Yo, imagine somebody pulled up to you in the parking lot, like, yo, I got these DVDs, man. And they like, what you got? I got X, Y, and Z. Bro, you could probably make so much more money, you know what I'm saying? Like taking it or writing a book, writing the memoirs of the cameraman and Megan Thee Stallion and doing a book tour. To like take out the time to like pay for a lawyer and go to court and say, and I'm not knocking nobody because I don't know what he's seen. He might have seen something that was some left field stuff and it went against his, you know, spiritual or religious beliefs or whatever. But if you stayed in that room, bro, like you enjoyed the movie you was watching. Like, and it's just like the stuff that people like make issues nowadays for like money, like we just talked about that, the things people are willing to do for money now to like even take advantage of that young sister. I'm not biggest fan or supporter of her content or imagery or whatever, but like that's your sister, like regardless of how you feel. Like I don't judge young artists because we don't know people's backgrounds and what they've been through, but like that's somebody you can talk to be like, yo, baby girl, like make better decisions, because somebody can be in my position and try to take advantage of you and your wealth and how you feed your family and just all of those things. So I just think that it's a little disheartening to hear somebody suing for something like that. Like I could see if he got tied up and something happened to him that violated like his spiritual or physical beliefs, but like, bro, you doing what for what, man? Like, what are we talking about? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I mean?
Crazy,
Ukraine
crazy.
is at war with Russia and people are starving in Congo and there's all kind of stuff going on in the world right now. You feel me, bro?
Wow, wow, wow. Well said, Mr. Authentic, right here on the PIMP podcast. All right. So for that young girl out there who looking to be the next Authentic, signed to a major record label, NBC, that young boy out there looking to be the next Authentic, what would you tell them if they wanted to get a record deal or deal with even NBC? What would you tell them if they wanted to get in the industry as a Mr. Authentic?
The number one thing is maintain your integrity and be yourself. There is your dopest thing that you have with your life is there's only one you. Don't worry about fitting into the mold, the form, and a replica. I don't care if the labels tell you. I've turned down major record deals because they wanted me to go inside certain directions or certain paths or exaggerate on certain things or overly focus on certain things. The only thing that's going to make, like, always think about, you know, about yourself 20 years from now. Like not enough young people do that. Think about like, you know, your 40-year-old self or your 50-year-old self, like to be able to look yourself in the mirror 10, 20, 30 years down the line of that you maintain your integrity and that you was you. And those opportunities are going to come. Like do the work before the opportunity comes so then you can even increase your value by the time you're at the table. If you're an artist that doesn't do shows, you ain't on magazines, you're not doing podcasts, you're not like, well, I'm not quite sure who KD is. I'm gonna do whatever I gotta do to be on Drink Champs because I think their views and streams, like, no, like KD could be the next person with 1.5 million views. Why would you not take the opportunity to be able to help build up brands and build up a base that you're part of to help things? People come into party opposed to put in the work to later build empire like from within and support other people like when they're on their way up as well. So I think too many kids are looking for like that next major record deal supposed to be like, yo, I'm gonna put together my own concert series inside a local venue that might not be popping, and I'm gonna do that for 6 months or for a year. So I create this buzz, you know what I mean? So then by the time somebody comes to you, like you got to better negotiate and chip at the table. You know what I mean? Somebody can't give you no low record deal, you know what I mean? Because you don't really got no buzz and you ain't been out there enough. You can be like, bro, I done been doing shows for the last 5 years. You know what I mean? I got this following. I've been on this amount of podcasts. You can't offer me that money. You know what I mean? And learn how to build your own wealth and your own money independently.
I like that. Well said, well said, well said indeed. So, in terms of the PR company and the music and things of that nature, any future projects that Authentic has going on right now that you could let us know about here in the near future?
Yeah, yeah. Like super blessed right now. Got actually just got a contract to put together a downtown Camden arts crawl where you have up to 20 to 40 different visual artists from out the area, musicians that perform throughout the downtown area all simultaneously, like on one day. Super dope layout. Like I'm also putting together like a Camden Youth Art Exhibition Series. Like I got the Authentic Minds Youth Poetry Movement. Like we're going, not just rocking in the city, but going to surrounding towns and suburbs, people that don't look like us. So we also change the narrative of what a Black and Hispanic kid is. You know, some real in-depth poetry and lyrics that kind of sort of tell the stories of what some of these youth experience. I think there's a lot of crossing the racial lines because not enough people know our stories or know the stuff that we've been through. So I want to shine light on some of our young talented people so people can see like, yeah, this kid might got a hoodie and might got the black jeans on to be by the corner store, but he got a story to tell or he has an amazing talent, and kind of sort of shine a light and create opportunities for others. Like I feel like, you know what I mean? Like my purpose here on this earth is helping other people fulfill their purpose. So a lot of my movements are building that. Working on the next album. Like I'm blessed to rock on the next project with Merc Beats, who is a multi-platinum producer, and Miss Jers from Beat Sweet Studios, working on a new project. Not titled right now. Shooting a couple videos for the project I got out right now. One Nation Under God. I'm sorry, One Nation Under. I left the word God out because I feel like we leave out spirituality in our society. But that's on Bandcamp, all streaming platforms. And just doing this summer tour, man, I'd be real blessed to stay booked throughout the spring and the summer, rocking shows throughout the area. Actually blessed to be booked next week at Camden City Hall, bringing a couple artists with me. So just still blessed to be rocking and rolling, as an artist and as a performer, and shine spotlights on other people as well too.
All right, I like that. I like that. So, if someone wanted to work with you, I don't know, maybe have you write a song for them, put some lyrics to a hook or whatever, maybe produce for them, whatever, or even on the PR side, how do they get in contact with Authentic?
Yeah, like what I mean, IG, I feel like it's the easiest way nowadays. I got two pages, The Authentic Minds, regular spelling AUTHENTIC Minds, and I also have like a music is like Authentic Music as well too. Very straightforward, but I always make sure that people got to spend the buck and support your platform even to find my contact. So you know what I mean? Like when this interview is posted, like we'll make sure that we put the stuff inside the comments and everything. So people got to get you views to make sure that they find me. You want to holler at me? You got to go through my man Kenny D first. Forget about it. You can't find me any other way. You know what I'm saying? But just so we continue to build as well too. Also got the the email authenticminds@gmail.com as well too.
I like that. So, for those people who've been rocking with you from No Limit all the way to being on tour with KRS-One, The Locks, Naughty by Nature, the PR company, that's right, Authentic Minds. Any final thoughts for your fans before we sign off on Pimp Game?
Yeah, man. Like, yo, just peace and blessings to everybody, man. Like, everybody got a unique story, man, and we take out more time to like to support one another inside deeper ways, man. Like, it don't cost nothing to click the like button, to repost, Kenny D's Pimp Game podcast. Like, it don't cost nothing to leave a comment under a music video. It don't cost nothing to come out to a festival or whatever, like, and support our youth, man. Like, build bridges and platforms. I don't care if it's the young bull on the block, like, encourage our young people, yo. Like, they need it, they lack it nowadays. Like, and don't be afraid, like, to to step out on faith if you got that thing that's burning up in you. Like I said, Authentic Mind started with no budget, no supporters, like no sponsorship, even musically, having record deals, not having record deals. I never stop, yo. Like have that fortitude inside your heart to never stop. Trust what God has blessed you with through your gifts and talents, and I guarantee you, if you stay consistent, like, you know what I mean, like, you're gonna make it, yo. Like, you're gonna make it, and it doesn't have to look like what other people think like success is. Like, success can be like just you being content inside your heart, knowing that you went after what God put inside your heart. You feel me?
All right, I like that. All right, so before we let you go, tell everybody who you chilling with.
Yo, it's your man Authentic with Kenny D on the Pimp Game Podcast. Y'all know what it is. Make sure you support my boy. One.
I like that. Before I let you go, I like to thank all my viewers out there for tuning in, as well as my YouTube lovers. I want to thank you as well. Just make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. That's right, you're going to subscribe. And make sure you turn those notifications on so when we upload videos, you are the first to get it. And last but not least, I like to thank the one and only South Jersey's finest. That's right, Mr. Authentic himself, for blessing us with his presence on the show. All right, see you next time on Pimp Game. You don't want to miss it. Holla.